Yeah, I've missed quite a bit of announcements yesterday, so this is why I'm doing a roundup now. On the whole, Disney fandom has been a major success for DC and Warner Brothers thanks to its many announcements, majority of which, believe it or not, consist of movie announcements as well as giving us our first official look at plenty of its upcoming movies. And one by one I'm going to be going over my brief / overall thoughts on each film that has been announced, but at the very least going over some new information that has been revealed thanks to DC fandom. Now first and foremost, we do have Wonder Woman 1984, and honestly, I really don't care about this movie at all. I do want to give a shit about this one, but truth be told, it's not giving me any reason to. And this is coming from a guy who was once on the hype train for the first film, but upon revisiting this movie the past year or so, I think it's just fine and overrated. And I feel like the main reason on why I really don't give a shit about Wonder Woman 84 is that it's trying way too hard to be yet another Thor Ragnarok clone, and honestly, I didn't even like Thor Ragnarok that much. And the only big reveal from the new trailer that was released was the official look of Cheetah in her final form, which does not look very good at all. And I do get that they're trying to go in a more classic design for Cheetah, but I don't think it translates well on the big screen at all. And I may come across as overly negative towards Wonder Woman 1984, which might be a little unwarranted to some degree, because for all I know, this film could actually kill it for me and be an amazing movie. And by no means am I trying to say that this film looks bad, but I do feel like it just wasn't made for me. We do have some glimpses of the new Flash movie that is coming out, which many assume is still going to be Flashpoint. And during its panel, we did get to see a few concept art featuring the Flash in his brand new costume, which is going to fall more in line to his classic look. Gone with all of the complicated armor nonsense, and instead we do have a much sleeker design for the Flash, which is something I am all for. The real money shot in all of this is that we do get to see the Flash teaming up with the one and only Michael Keaton Batman, who surprisingly still looks in his prime despite of everything, unless they're actually going to use some CG enhancements on Keaton's face to make him appear younger, and that the Burton universe is still going to be set after Batman Returns, but not in a dystopian future as some assumed. But either way, despite the fact that I'm still not looking forward to Ezra Miller coming back as the Flash, I am fairly excited to see where they're going to take with Michael Keaton's Batman. Up next, we do have James Gunn's The Suicide Squad movie, which completely turned me around from my initial reaction towards this movie. Because by the looks of things, it does seem like The Suicide Squad is mostly shifting towards the right direction, for the most part, and that this movie is going to be a homage to the 80s action flicks. As for the characters in this new roster, we are jam-packed, and no doubt I'm going to be forgetting a few, but as you can see, we finally have confirmation in that Idris Elba's character will in fact be Bloodsport. Completely took me by surprise because I was assuming that he was going to be Bronze Tiger. We also get to see the return of Harley Quinn, who is sporting a completely different outfit, which is by far the best thing she has ever worn in the DC Extended Universe, as this costume takes some inspiration from both the Arkhamverse Harley Quinn as well as the Rebirth Harley Quinn. I'm really surprised that it took them this long for them to actually get the red and black colour palette correctly. Not to mention that we also have John Cena, who is going to be the Peacemaker in this film, who for all intents and purposes is going to be the brutal and violent anti-Captain America, as well as the inclusion of Nathan Fillion as TDK, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't know anything about the character, and I do feel like his costume, while it could very well be comic accurate, does look pretty ridiculous. And we even have Peter Capaldi as the Thinker, which is pretty much perfect casting right there, right down to his face, to the point where I'm looking forward to him the most out of all of the new characters thus far. And we even have the Polka Dot Man in this, who does look completely goofy as you would expect. And there's no doubt in my mind that he is actually going to bite the bullet in this film. I'm not really feeling this version of King Shark because he looks incredibly fat and goofy, and I feel like they're trying to take some cues from the Harley Quinn version of King Shark, which I don't even like the series at all. But hey, if people are gonna resonate with him like they do with Groot, then that's something, I guess. And like I said, there are a handful of characters that I've completely left off from the roster, and truth be told, I am more the more excited into seeing the Suicide Squad now, because for the most part at least, it does seem like James Gunn has complete control of this project, and not to mention that he has taken them in a certain direction that the first film should have took. Speaking of supervillains, we also do have some pretty good glimpses at Black Adam, by essentially showing some concept art of Teth Adams' origin, all the while making a complete trailer out of it, which is something I feel like DC and especially Marvel should do more often. It really does give you the vibe that they're trying to go with this movie, and it perfectly does explain the basis of Black Adam's character. I can say this with everyone, including The Rock at this point, in that it is about time that he does get to play the character he signed on to play for like 10 years at this point. It does seem like Dwayne Johnson is incredibly passionate about Black Adam the character, and say what you will about his acting in previous movies, I do feel like he is going to kill it in this role. On top of that, we also do have some good glimpses at the Justice League of Society, consisting of Hawkman, Cyclone, Atom Smasher, and my personal favourite, Dr. Fate. Now, I highly doubt that they are going to look as comic accurate as seen in those concept arts, but once again, it does give us a good idea on where they're going to go with these characters from a design perspective. And overall, I can't wait to see what they actually do once they start filming. Then moving on from that, we also do have the first official look at the Snyder Cut, which is something that I've already made a video on previously. Briefly summarise what I think of Zack Snyder's Justice League is that it does feel like a completely different film compared to that of the theatrical version, but in saying that, it is very welcomed in that we're going to have all of the missing pieces from Zack Snyder's original vision being put up on display and tying up all loose ends. And the final big announcement in all of DC fandom was of course the first teaser for The Batman, which I've also made a video on this, and let me tell you, I am really pumped to see this film more than ever before, because it's taken full advantage of the fact that The Batman is yet another origin story, all the while it does reveal the origin of certain villains like the Penguin, Catwoman, Riddler, etc, etc, etc. And I do feel like going back in the dark and gritty tone of the character, as well as focusing on his detective skills, is a good way to go. Like I said, I do think The Batman could very well be my most anticipated comic book film of next year. Not just by DC, but also with everything going on with Marvel, Sony, and pretty much everything else in between. Some other movie stuff that we do learn that were pretty brief was that we do get to learn the official title for Shazam 2, of course being Fury of the Gods. A very simple title, no doubt, but it does give a good indicator in that Shazam will be facing off against plenty of other godlike entities in the sequel. We also learned that Aquaman 2 will be much more serious in tone, and that it will also be more relevant to today's society. Although James Wan didn't exactly go any further beyond that comment. However, something that took me off guard was that Patrick Wilson will be reprising his role as the Ocean Master for the sequel, which was something I didn't see coming. I don't know how this is going to work, considering that Black Manta is meant to be the main villain for Aquaman 2, but maybe Ocean Master might be some sort of reluctant ally. But since this movie is a long way away, I don't think we're going to learn of his role anytime soon. The biggest surprise in all of this was that during Milestone's panel, they did subtly announce that they are working on a Static Shock movie and that it is currently in development. And while everything still seems like it's early days right now, I am still excited on what they're going to do with Static Shock and which angle they're going to take the character. But overall, this is a huge win on DC and Warner Brothers' hands right there, and it was such a huge power move on their end to do their own conference online. Not to mention that it was really impressive on their end to show us something for movies that are even far into the distant future. And even with all of the huge movie announcements alone, it is clear that DC are really confident in what they are doing right now. So what do you think of all of the brand new movie announcements during this year's DC fandom? Which DC movie are you looking forward to the most? And which DC film are you looking forward to the least? Comment below and share some thoughts. And as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Take care and have a good one.